back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Leo Lothbrock on the infinite frequency. How are you? So it's so good to be back. I've been away, my daywalkers, creatures of the night, my warriors, and everybody else in between. It's been a journey. So before I get into where I've been, what I've been up to, I'd like to just check in with you guys first. How have you been? Hopefully you haven't been struggling too much. Hopefully you've been able to get through any obstacles that have come along. And I really genuinely hope that those of you that are listening and are avid listeners have been able to use the material I already had in my absence. And that was the idea of getting so much up there. I didn't know exactly how long I'd be away from the mic this time. But with the whole process of coming off of the streets into my own apartment, and it happened in a couple of steps. So yeah, let's just, take a moment to pause for a minute. This is my first moment back. I'm in my new studio, which is in my apartment. It's amazing. I've got new equipment and I'm just sitting here right now, absolutely enjoying this moment right here, right now. I had no idea before I hit the record button that this would be the feeling. It's been a goal of mine for a long, long time now to have started a podcast show with a good, honest message. In the beginning, I had delusions about how big and how far I could go very quickly. But that coincides with being humbled over time with recovery and then definitely living a spiritual life. My reasonings, my choices, my goals are some of the goals change and some of the reasoning behind other goals change. So it's about ever evolving, remaining teachable and being able to move forward. You have to remember, for those of you that are new, welcome, and come back two more times and you're part of the family, you're part of the tribe. I mean, you are anyway. And I'm fortunate enough to have found people all over the world that have needed the message that is within the infinite frequency. I'm finding that the people I'm reaching are on similar journeys. I've had some interesting conversations over the last few months as well, in person now as well as online. And it's been a wonderful experience. The last few months of my life have just been quite incredible. So literally, let's start where we're at. So right now, like I said, I'm sat in my new studio with my new equipment, and it might sound all high-tech and flashy. Believe me, it's not. I have the basics, but that's not the point. The point is, it's doing its job, and it feels more real, more professional. And that's where I wanted to get to, So now that doesn't mean because I've hit and achieved a goal that I can sit back and rest on my laurels now. It's not about that. I understand that the gift I was given was the ability to not only be able to understand what I went through and why, but the ability to show empathy and understand other people that are going through similar and to be able to help them in the situations that used to baffle me and confuse me. My journey started in recovery, most definitely, but it's certainly moved into a complete way of life, which has coincided with me working on my own spiritual well-being. And it was through finding a purpose, a higher power. I mean, I pray to Odin, I believe. I believe in pretty much all of the gods, to be honest. I don't pretend to be the professor of any kind of knowledge, just my beliefs, which I call my knowing, is that I pray to Odin, and since I've been doing that and living a way of life that would honour him, if you like, and living with honesty, integrity. Or, these are things I never used to have. I always thought I did, but I didn't. but they are there. So they were there before. I just didn't know how to access them and how to deal with the stuff that had got me away from who I was and who I am becoming. And, as I go through this show, because it's the first one back, I may bounce around a bit, and just bear with me. And I just hope you enjoy it as well. There are some big changes coming up. Whilst I think about it, I need to stop saying as well. You can tell I've been away from the mic for a little bit. So yeah, the changes are coming up that I'm going to try. What I'd like to do is do a daily show. I like to go live Monday to Friday, but for 2 to 3 hours, either in the morning or afternoon. I'm just trying to work out the best format for that. I want to do it because there's so much I want to do, and I can't do certain parts of my life and certain things that I go through stop me from being able to go outside, and especially work is difficult. So I treat this in the same work, and with my research, I'm constantly trying to learn, to evolve, to do better. It's taken a long time to get to where I am. I've finally got my own place, which is it's just a godsend. And we will talk about that, and we'll talk about the irony behind it and the irony behind how well I'm doing now compared to only a few months ago when I was being told, you need more help, we can't support you. And I got kicked out of a lot of places because they were able to manipulate. I'll choose my words carefully, sorry. Because sometimes the situations were there that were misleading at face value. And since I've been here, I have just dealt with everything myself. And once I got settled in, I started to get offered support. Now I've taken the support and I take suggestions, and I'm not afraid to, have people help me, watch over me, whatever way you want to say. I don't mind. But the irony behind all of that transition is that, like I say, if you look back at my paperwork in all the hostels and emergency housing, if you read that without meeting me, you would think that I was an absolute raving lunatic. And as the Housing Association has found out since I've been in here, that is anything but true. I live a very spiritual life. I have a peaceful life. I have a very calm home. I treat it like my temple because I just feel so blessed to finally have 4 walls around me that are mine, that can't be taken away from me, that, I don't have to, someone can't knock on the door and say, no, we're coming in now. And it's awesome. And it's come at a good time in my life because I'm no longer running a silly play. I'm now trying to look at the, sort of looking into it. I'm trying to get into the second half of the game, if you like, the third quarter of my life. And so I make the reference to American football because I've gotten right into that today. And not today, I've got right into the American football over the last few years, and especially this season, we've been doing a fantasy football league. We'll come back to that. So, where shall I really truly begin? I suppose when I'll start when I got my place. When I came off the street, I actually transitioned back into another emergency house, which is, companies that are temporary accommodation. And it wasn't a bad one. It was probably one of the best I'd been in. But thankfully, somehow, within 2 weeks, I got a call and was offered the chance of my own little flat apartment for you guys over the pond. And I'll be honest, at that point, I had already given up the hope of ever getting somewhere. And I'm very fortunate because I have some people around me that I can talk to and run things past. And, I've got my sponsor and other people. And my sponsor's more like my best friend now. I put that title there to give you an idea of how we met. And then, there's just a few homies in my life that will be brutally honest. And it's helped me because I was going to come off of what is called the waiting list, and on their advice, they put it very wisely. They, if you like, played me very well. And they said, well, just hang on, just leave it on there. You got nothing to lose. And I thought, yeah, they're right. Well, I'm so glad I listened to that suggestion, because today I'm sat here in a beautiful apartment, which I have been fortunate enough to be donated some awesome furniture. I have made my own bed slash settee, and I've managed to decorate the whole apartment very cheaply, but it looks awesome, and I'm so happy with it. Now, for those of you that don't know, I was on and off the streets for the last 5 years. Kind of been that way my whole life, but the last 5 years have been the hardest. Spent in recovery. First 2 years was just in and out, and eventually something got hold of me, and we'll come back to that. I'll do a show on that tomorrow, I believe, with regards to what it was that started me on this journey now when I came back. What stopped me going back out? What was it what had changed from all of my other rock bottoms? I'll do a show on that tomorrow. But for now, we're going to concentrate on what happened when I got this place. So I just moved into the other emergency house, and it was in an area where I wasn't familiar with. The culture was different, but very welcoming. Very, very welcoming, I have to say. I possess a support dog. Her name's Marnie. She's a big old girl. And in the area I was in, people were very frightened of her at first. So I learned how to be very aware of people around me. Anyway, so then this move came up, and I got to come and view the apartment. I walked through the door, the main door to the building, sort of steps going up to what could potentially be my apartment. Something strange happened. I didn't feel new in the way that I thought it would. It felt like I was returning home. And we came up, and I had a look around, and I fell in love with it. It is so much bigger than I ever thought I would get. It's a massive place. I say massive. People come around and say it's not that big, and for me it is. But I've got plenty of space. I've got my studio in here. I've got my front room, a bed area. We've got a separate kitchen, a bath. So I'm doing okay. Anyway, so I get to move in. There's a couple of weeks where there was some stuff going on in the background. Checks had to be done. So there was a bit of a hold up in my head. But for the first time ever, I was able to sit back and realize that sometimes the silence is where the work is happening. And lo and behold, I get the call, yep, come and have a look, blah, 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 signed the paperwork, and then sat in this place. I mean, it was sparse. I didn't have any furniture at the time. We'd come straight off the street into that emergency house and straight over here, so we didn't really have much. But what we did have was a roof over our head. And I say we, I always refer to we as myself and my dog, Marnie. She has been through absolute hell with me for the last 3 years, and now the last 2 months have been heaven for both of us. I remember sitting here for the first, I think it was about an hour after the gentleman left, once I signed the paperwork and gave me the keys, and I couldn't believe it. I was in absolute disbelief that finally I had a place to put my head down, a place to come back to, safety. And you'll hear that word a lot with me, because the one thing I will say is, once you've been on the street, and if you're like me and you've been out there for a while, safety becomes an illusion, because you're never safe. And I'm not going to go into too much, but there was lots of incidents where even me, the size of I am, panicked, got scared, sometimes didn't think I'd make it through, and yet I was sitting here in my new apartment looking around at the walls, realizing I never have to do that ever again. I don't have to go back and live like that ever again. And so I started to settle in. I had some people come round, they brought me some furniture, really beautiful furniture. It really is just like my desks and furnitures have got like soft yellow, power yellow to them, and my walls are beige, and then you've got they go to a nice green, earthy green, where I've got the tree of life. Anyway, my apartment, I got to make it my own. Now, the interesting thing that first started to happen was I just I didn't know I didn't know how to be how to be in a place, if that makes sense, and I had to learn all of it. And at no point was I scared. I remember sitting down on that first night thinking, right, what have I done in the past that I don't want to do again? What things have led to my demise in the past? What things have I done before, and even whilst doing, maybe thought, oh, I shouldn't do this, or if I do this, this might happen. One of the things was bills. So I sat there that night and I decided to work out what my bills would be, my budget, etc. Lo and behold, the next day, a lady from the housing association that I'm with, I won't say names because I don't know if I can, absolutely brilliant they are, that's what I will say. This lady rang me, said, we'd like to, if you want, I'm a money advisor and we can help you with X, Y, and Z. And it was just brilliant because we got to, go through my thing. She highlighted a couple of things I might have been slightly up or down on, but overall it was a good actual budget, and she helped me to neaten the edges. And then we went through all the bills and stuff, and she was quite surprised at how much I'd done. And when I to hear that from somebody else in that moment, I realised, yeah, I am doing what I should have done years ago or could have done years ago, but circumstances weren't right. And to sit there and hear somebody saying, you're doing really well. That's, you seem to have thought about everything. And go fast forward 2 months now, I'm paying my way. It's, I get my bills sent out and I pay them, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy having that process. What else was weird to get used to? Having a bath. Now, that might sound really funny and hilarious to some of you out there, and then there's going to be other people that it'll resonate with massively. So, the last year, between being on and off the street, maybe the last 2 years, I was fortunate enough, I'll say actually, to be able to shower once a week, which is a charity that would bring a mobile shower unit into the city centre and allow the homeless people to go and get a change of clothes, underwear, socks. And you would not believe how a clean pair of socks can just feel like stepping into a whole nother life when you're out there. And it became a routine of just that once a week. That's all I had access to, so that's all I could do. And I'll be honest, it also eliminated the other side of my demons, which is the women, because no one wants to be near someone who smells. Anyway, that being said, that's just a side joke. But it become learnt behaviour. So when I was sitting here the first month, I can't explain it. I knew where the bath was. I'd even run it a couple of times, but I couldn't bring myself to physically get into the bath. And it started to worry me a bit because I didn't know that. And you won't notice, you won't see those things until you change your environment or you change your routine, and then habits will come to light, if you like. So I started to think, right, okay, what can I do? And this is before I put my own stamp across the whole place. And I thought, right, let's make the bathroom a place where I want to be, a place where I really want to go and relax. Because that's what I want. When I go into the bathroom to have a bath or wash or shower, whatever you want to call it, I want to go in there to relax, to have a chance to unwind. It's a sanctuary space. It's a place where I step away from my normal life, if you like. And so I did. I went out and I found some paper, and I found the paint I like, and I got some plants and whatever. And it now, to me, is so peaceful. And after I finished it, obviously I came in the front room, let it dry. When I went back out to look, I was blown away. And again, I just sat there and enjoyed it. And all of a sudden I found myself running a bath. And then I found myself sitting in the bath. And that, for me, was a huge accomplishment. And since then, I'm getting better every other day. I'm not pushing it at the moment. Again, this will sound crazy to some people, but to some of you, you're going to totally understand. And, to some of you, you'll be saying every other day, I wished. And that's the reality of my world, of my life. And I used to punish myself, and I want to try and do stuff too quickly. And it's not about that. I actually received my equipment about a week ago. The old me would have unwrapped it, jumped straight in, and burnt myself straight out. But because I had other stuff I was doing, like the decorating, I wanted to get my house in order before the studio went live, and I've managed to achieve that. And it is absolutely amazing having your own space after years and years of being told, oh, we can't help you, you're in the wrong age category, you're healthy, you're this, you're that. To really have to fight for these assessments and the help that's out there. But I will say, I've been so fortunate in the city I'm in, the help is definitely there. You have to be willing to engage, and you have to be willing to work on yourself. And for some, that's too difficult. And for me, it's a simple choice now. I either live or I don't, and I want to keep living. I have a beautiful life now. There's parts of my life I'm now looking at to working on next. Finances are just coming into order, which is unbelievable for me. And there's sides of that revenue I need to go down and have a look at and correct some things from the past and step up in other areas. And I will. It's just going to take time. Remembering always that some people, your past may not always forgive you. Some people won't come back, and some will. And that's okay, That's the beautiful thing about being okay with yourself and who you are. I know today that you could ask, if you are somebody who didn't know me for 5 years, they will tell you a very different picture of who I am if you are somebody who knew me from 15 years ago or even 10 years ago. So it's all down to perspectives, and that's people's realities are often constructed in their own minds, be it on learned behaviour or things they've seen, So if someone hasn't seen me for the last 5 years, they wouldn't know who I was at all. They would just think they knew because of who they knew the person I was. But ask yourself this, are any of you the same people you were 5 years ago? Probably not even a month ago. And that's the beautiful part of life as well, is that we do ever evolve and ever change. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to put some music on. It's royalty-free music by Kevin MacLeod. He's got an awful lot of music online that you can use, and like I say, is royalty-free. Always check the source. Always check the source. Always check that it says that it is free, because some of them out there, just double check. And if you use them on your shows and that, always accredit the people with them as well, because without this guy, this part of the show would be silent at the moment. But I do have other music coming in from other artists, and they are going to be songs and vocals as well. And that's super exciting. There's interviews coming up. There's all sorts of new aspects of the show coming up. Like I said, I'm going to try doing a live show starting from Monday, which is tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. So I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to stick some music on. Enjoy. I hope you like it, and I will be back. Welcome back. So hopefully you enjoyed the music. That was, as I say, from Kevin MacLeod. His library can be found on platforms, and you just search him royalty-free music, and that will save you from copyright infringements. Like I say, I'm fortunate because I'm having some music sent in from other artists, and I can't wait for that. So the plan is to go forward and do it like a radio show, Monday to Friday, as I say. I'm working on the timing because I do have a unbelievable wide audience. So I've just got to be careful and make sure that I can continue the workload that once I pick it up, because I don't want to start this time and step away if I can help it. I would like to be able to just continue to grow, and I'm not afraid of being on the mic, even if I'm in a bad place, because look, we're all human. We all go through things, and I'm not somebody that will come on the mic and be all happy and joyful on the mic and then come off the mic and be a different person. That's just not, it's not the way I live today. The way I live today is with spiritual alignment, and I just try to be the best person I could be today. So, what I've decided in this section of the show is I'm going to answer, or try to answer, a question that one of somebody close actually asked, and I've had to spend a few days really going into it, because I know how much this person needs this answer. And before I say anything, what I will say is I don't have any answers. I can't tell you what is going to work for you. I just, all I can tell you is you don't have to live how you are anymore. And if you want to know how I did it, then that's what I can offer, is explain what was offered to me and offer you the same. Now, not all of the suggestions that were offered to me I took, and normally when I didn't take a suggestion, it was detrimental to me, others, and the journey that I was trying to go on. When I first come into the program 5 years ago, I was a broken man. I thought I had nothing left, and later on I would find out that the little I did have left was was soon on its way out of the door as well. And this is not a pity party. This is a reality check. This is, what it was. I put myself in a position and made choices, and I hear you, yeah, there may have been reasons behind stuff and trauma and God knows what, but I'm not going to sit here and try to deflect or defend anything I did. All I've done is learn to forgive myself and everybody else, and not delete the past, but certainly move forward. But before being able to do that, I had to get to a place that I had no idea existed, which was going to be even lower, even harder than the rock bottoms I thought I'd had. When the moment you step into an AA room, the moment I stepped into the rooms, I knew inside of myself that I had tried everything. I had nothing left to try. And I literally only went because I had made an agreement with somebody. That was it. And it stuck with me for a little while. I did 140 days. Was, looking back, I was arrogant. Yeah, one and done, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought I'd beat it. And I went out, did some more research, and was in and out of the rooms for a bit like that. And every time I went back out, it got worse. I was unable to, I couldn't even get through my first drink without having issues anymore. The blackouts came straight away for me. And I used to think blackouts were what happened. You pass out once you'd had too much and wouldn't remember nothing. Well, part of that's correct in the not remembering. But I was to find out that blackout for me was literally taste it, gone. Although I'm awake, functioning, and you perceive me to be present in the room, I'm not. And that something takes over. And it took me a long time every time to go back to the rooms. It was always a lot harder. There was guilt, there was shame, there was the knowledge that you pick up without realizing. Once I had been to a few meetings and then went back to the old life, I just had these voices pinging around my head. These words of wisdom, if you like, these slogans that I didn't even know I'd picked up. And that in itself becomes difficult to deal with. It did for me. It became very hard to be out there living that life with knowing now. I just started to have an understanding of, oh, sugar, Oh yeah, I have affected loads of people. And you know, it's just hard. Every time I go back out, and I can't. It's as simple as that. It got harder and harder, and the last time I went out was lethal for me. And I never want to live that way again, and I don't have to. That's the beautiful thing. The last rock bottom, I'd lost everything. I'd lost a job, my children, and my ex-wife had to remove themselves from my life, which I don't hold any grudges for. I totally understand why people did what they had to do. I lost all my friends, and it was a dark place for me. It was really, really difficult. But, and when I say but, I never like that word. Normally it says, well, forget everything I said before, but it's not like that. In losing everything, I had no one left to blame. And then I looked around and there was nobody left, nowhere to turn, no one to beg, borrow, or steal from, no one to even talk to anymore. And so I found myself alone and in silence. And it's in those moments I started to realize I was sick to death of feeling like that. You know, tired of being alone, tired of not fitting in, tired of trying to do everything right and always getting it completely wrong. And in that, you know, somewhere in that darkness, in that loneliness, in that pit, in that hellhole, I don't know how it happened, but I just started to realize, right, tomorrow I'm going to do something I didn't do today. And I started to make changes in choices. There was a guy in one of the meetings who was doing the next right thing. If I knew what that was, I'd be doing it. Do you know what the next wrong thing is? Yeah, don't do that. Damn. What a brilliant way to look at it. You see, such a simple suggestion, and yet it changed my perspective. I had a new way of looking at things. Now, what I'll say is meetings are a funny thing. There's a meeting out there for everybody. I've had to search and I've been to many, many meetings. I prefer the online stuff. My whole recovery's been done online. My home group is a group that was set up out of America. However, it's a worldwide group. There's no bricks and mortar building. We meet up a couple of times a day and we're from all over the world, which is absolutely phenomenal. I have been to in-person meetings and there is a different feel to them, if you like. I won't tell you which is best to do. I won't tell you have to do one or you can't do both, or, you know, if you don't do this, you know, my suggestion would be try. Go and try. And when you get there, look for the similarities, look for the things that, you know, you can relate to. Don't look for the things that aren't you. Oh no, that's not me, because then you'll be walking that door thinking, well, I'm cool. But you have to look for the things that are hitting you, you know, the similarities, things you hear in yourself. And in doing that and accepting these slogans and these phrases and this way of life, slowly over time, my life started to improve. But like I say, in recovery in the beginning, it got harder. And even now, I wouldn't say my life's any easier. There's a lot more responsibility. There's a lot more service that I do. I have a fuller life. I have a purpose. I really love what I get to do, but I can't take any of that for granted. I have to remember exactly where I came from. I have to remember who I was. But equally, you know, in doing so, I also know that I am not who I'm going to finish up being. My thoughts, my opinions, my outlook on life may change and will change as life goes on and as, you know, the years pile up. But all I want to do is hopefully reach out and just give some people some hope. And it's that moment, for me, the moment of change really truly came once I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And actually, while I've just said that, the same thing has happened with my finances. There was a point very recently, I don't know exactly when, in the last 2 to 4 months, I just tired of just, oh, can I borrow it? Or can I, you know, or just not having money. I don't like it. And today I'm fortunate enough to be getting my finances into order with some help. And I always accept help. I never ever turn help down. Hell no. Even if I think I'm right. Because you know what? I might just learn something. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just learn that, yes, I've already got this. That's cool. But at least I tried. At least I just examined another possibility, because without looking, I wouldn't know if it was going to help me or not. It's easy to say, no, I've got it. But I've learned that I don't actually have anything. All I have is today, this moment right now. You know, tomorrow is always tomorrow. Yesterday's always been. The past is the past. The future is the future. All we have is now. Doesn't matter what time of the day is, it's always now. And so I always try to live my now as the best possible way. Like my plan with this show going forward is to do more and turn it into like a daily show, so people have something to check in with, so that you can listen. I'm hoping to have emails set up and a website, but this is all going to take time. I can't rush myself. I have to be very gentle with myself. I'm doing very well at the moment with that. I'm starting to recognize my behaviors, the patterns in me. And it's a really good feeling. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to take another little break. I will play some more music, and then I will come back. I just want to do a little segment on American football, because I've been playing in a fantasy football league. So I'll play this music, and then I'll be back with we'll call it the sports section. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Daywalkers, creatures of the night, warriors, and everyone in between. That again was a soundtrack by Kevin MacLeod called Pinball Spring. Again, available on his royalty-free library. So, what are we going to talk about now? Reminds me of WWE, that. Right. So, American football. I have really gotten into the American football this season. It's because, obviously, like I said, a lot of my recovery has been done online. I have the gift of having a tribe across the world, and a very big tribe in America. And they play a fantasy football league each year. And you know, my name was down the last couple of years, but I didn't really participate. And so this year when it came about, I thought, you know what, let's give this a go, because I like numbers, I like stats, and they said, do you want to pair up? So no, I'll give it, let's do it on my own this time. And it's been awesome. I mean, it's been really good fun to have the banter with them, to learn, because I've never been good about that as well, but for whatever reason. And it's been so cool to be part of something, each week building it up. I do little fantasy football fake news reports for our league, which is super cool. And it's just been enjoyable. The league is very competitive. There's been some good games. There's been some games where people lost just because they didn't know some of the rules or whatever. But it's been a really good fun. One of the teams set a super high score, which still I can't work out. He managed to hit them all, because it's just great fun. And so I've obviously been learning the rules and looking at teams as well. And I will say now, and there are all wonderful, there's lots of wonderful teams out there, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are my team. So they're also on TV on Channel 5 today, I believe. So that's going to be awesome. I'm, looking forward to that. And then we'll, whilst watching that, there'll be points going up on our own scoreboards and the Fantasy League, which is just awesome. Next year, I think I'll do a little column in the back bit, like a proper update weekly. But yeah, we'll just let this season play out and we'll go from there. But so I am going to wrap it up for today. I've really enjoyed being back. I love my new equipment. It's really nice to be in the studio. And I need to really work on that. So yeah, have a beautiful day. And remember, if you're having a bad day, just stop, pause, relax, chill, take 5 minutes, take 5 hours, whatever, but just, you don't have to carry on having a bad day. You can stop it, pause, and then try to continue again. You can do that as many times as you want during the day. So again, if you're new here, welcome to the family, welcome to the tribe. We are worldwide. There's a lot of us that need this message. There's a lot of us that are walking the similar journeys, and we all realize, I certainly realize, I cannot do it alone. I enjoy walking the path with people and helping them along the way, as sometimes they have to help me. So with that being said, my daywalkers, my creatures of night, my warriors, my seers, my witches, and everybody else in between, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I've absolutely loved being back, and I'm just going to absolutely love you and leave you. And today we'll go out with a slightly different track. Again, just one of Kevin MacLeod's, and it's a shorter one called Move Forward. I hope the day ahead of you is beautiful. I hope you're having a wonderful time. And may the gods be with you today. Peace, Skull.